So, hello everybody, and welcome to the At Hugh Smiley podcast. And this is our second interview, and I'm so excited to have Olga Plistic from St. Petersburg, Russia. And Elena will be helping us a little bit with the translation today. And so I hope you enjoy this short interview. It's on a subject that's very dear to my heart, which is the science of sound and vibration and the human voice and expression and creativity. And Olga, I'm so curious to hear from you how you became interested in this approach to personal growth and healing and education.
Все началось с кризиса.
Everything started from a crisis.
Когда я была молодая,
when I was young,
и мне было где-то 20 лет,
I was around 20.
Я училась в консерватории в Петербурге.
I was studying at Conservatoire in St. Petersburg.
Это, наверное, академия, можно так сказать.
That's a music academy.
Как музыковед.
And I was, my major was
musicology.
Musicology.
Я поняла, что я не знаю, зачем я это делаю.
So I realized that I didn't know why I was doing that.
И у меня был очень большой кризис и даже депрессия.
So I even had a depression and a kind of a crisis.
Потому что моя душа никак не могла найти ответа, для чего и куда дальше нужно двигаться.
Because my soul could not find an answer where to go further.
И в течение 5 или 6 лет,
so during the next 5 or 6 years,
примерно как композитор Римский-Корсаков,
like Римский-Корсаков, the famous Russian composer,
я находилась в очень глубоком поиске себя.
I was in a deep search of trying to find myself.
И даже была на грани очень тяжелых состояний.
And I even experienced some severe states of mind.
И мой поиск пришел к тому, что я пошла на духовный путь.
So my search brought me to the spiritual way.
Благодаря этому я поняла, что мне очень важно помогать людям через музыку.
And there I realized that it is very important for me to help people through music.
Это было отчасти связано с тем, что моя семья состоит из врачей.
So partially it was due to the fact that part of my family are doctors.
И эта генетическая склонность помогать, она есть у меня.
So this genetically, I was prone to helping people, genetically.
Uh-huh.
Но поскольку я много лет уже до этого пела,
but as far as I had been singing for some time before,
мне было очень легко всегда подбирать на слух музыку.
It was easy for me to learn music by ear, just to start playing by ear.
То когда меня попросили заниматься хоровыми занятиями с пациентами клиники,
so once I was asked to have choir lessons for the patients of one of the hospitals,
я обнаружила, что это очень хороший способ для того, чтобы облегчить состояние людей.
And I discovered that it was a very easy way to make the patients feel better.
И после того, как я закончила консерваторию,
and after I graduated from the conservatoire, from the Academy of Music,
с дипломом по музыкальной терапии,
and I got a diploma of musical therapist,
я стала осваивать психологию, потом психотерапию.
I started learning psychology and psychiatry later.
И мои эксперименты привели меня к тому, чтобы соединить мои знания о голосе и музыке с психологией и психотерапией.
And my experiments led me to connection of my knowledge both in music and in psychology and psychiatry.
И так в 2014 году я стала преподавать мой собственный подход, который сейчас называется интегративная голосовая терапия.
So in 2014, I started teaching my own method, which is called Integrative Vocal Therapy.
Mhm.
That's it.
That's
Great.
it.
It's really wonderful when we have those moments in our life, those pivotal moments when we receive guidance or an insight or a personal revelation even from our own true self or from the creator that guides us and directs us into a certain path of becoming. And it's especially rewarding when that path also involves helping other people. So not only personal development and unfolding and realization, but also helping the evolution of our planet. So fantastic. What a wonderful story.
Это было непросто.
It was not that easy.
И, конечно, для моей семьи это большое было испытание.
And for my family, it was not that easy.
Но я понимаю сейчас, что именно благодаря этому очень тяжелому кризису я и сделала свой путь.
But now I really think that it is thanks to that crisis, the severe crisis, that I am here where I am, and my way was like this.
Yes. Well, usually the most important stages of our journey in life, well, often, not always, but often, they're the most difficult, the most painful, the most challenging. And if we can just be open in some way to embrace the discomfort, to be aware of it, mindful, and then to go down into the dark place and embrace the part that is anxious or afraid or angry, and then bring the light up into the surface, then the magic begins. But yes, it can be very difficult, these processes of transformation and guidance.
Yes.
So another big question is coming very soon. You have organized the most interesting sounding festival, like a conference, in St. Petersburg, but I believe it's also online. So it's a hybrid event, and it's called Resonance, which is such a beautiful word, and it's called the Resonance Festival, and it's coming up next month, I think on the 10th and 11th of August, correct? Mm-hmm. So, and I am honored to be invited to be one of the several masterclass teachers or facilitators. I think there are a few non-Russian people coming. And so please let the listeners know about what you have organized and your vision around this festival.
Этому проекту 4 года.
This project is 4 years old.
И когда-то это была идея моих студентов.
And once it was idea coming from my students,
которые заканчивали курс.
So they were finishing a course,
находясь в разных городах России.
And they were placed in different cities in Russia.
И они сказали, а давайте соберемся.
And then they said, let's get together.
Потому что они не видели друг друга вживую.
Because they didn't see each other live.
Интерес этой ситуации был в том, что это была пандемия.
And that was the pandemic period.
И у людей была очень большая потребность встретиться лично.
So people really needed to see each other face to face.
В России не было таких жестких запретов, как в Канаде.
We didn't have such strict limitations like you have in Canada.
Но, тем не менее, наша встреча была немного запрещенной.
But still it was a little bit forbidden to meet.
Поэтому это добавило градус желания.
So it just added to the fact that we wanted to meet.
Вместо 20 человек, которых я предполагала,
so instead of 20 people that I thought I would have,
собралось 50.
There were 50 gathered together.
И это была как ранняя христианская церковь.
And it was like an early Orthodox church.
В полуподвальном помещении.
Somewhere in the, down under the ground.
когда мы собрались, и не нужно было никому сообщать, что нас 50.
So we got together, but it was a secret that we were 50
Это было не разрешено.
because 50 was not allowed to meet.
И вот эта тайная сходка
So this secret meeting
создало такой импульс для дальнейшего творческого соединения людей.
created an impulse for further creative community of these people.
Поэтому, когда пандемия закончилась и стало уже свободно встречаться,
So when this pandemic was over and we were free to meet wherever we want,
оказалось, что люди по-прежнему хотят встречаться лично.
so it turned out that people still wanted to see each other offline.
И основная идея этого фестиваля в том, чтобы соединить очень разные подходы в работе с голосом, со звуком.
And the main idea of the festival is to connect different approaches to voice therapy and different sound healing techniques.
Не только хилинг, но еще и педагогические подходы,
So
очень разные.
pedagogical approaches, so all the ways dealing with voice.
Потому что в реальности, когда мы видим, например, музыканты профессиональные, они не очень знают про психологию и как это работает.
Because in reality, professional musicians, they don't know much about psychology and how it works.
Имеют много проблем, при этом они остаются невостребованными.
And so they have lots of problems, personal problems, and they remain unrevealed, you know, not presented to the public in the
Yeah.
full.
С другой стороны, люди, которые исследуют себя через психологию, не знают о возможностях, которые предоставляет именно голос.
And on the other hand, people who are psychologists, they don't know about possibilities that voice can provide.
С третьей стороны, люди, которые практикуют голос именно как духовную практику,
And one more point, so people that practice voice as a spiritual approach,
мало знают о том, какую научную подоплеку это имеет, а с другой стороны, какую музыкальную возможность это, музыкальную профессиональную
they know
возможность.
very little how much science lies behind it and how much music can be underneath it.
Yes.
И
From a previous conversation also, it seems that there are four basic groups of people. The great inventor Nikola Tesla, once wrote and said that if you really want to understand reality, study vibration and frequency and sound. So in this multifaceted approach to the experience of voice and sound and the study and understanding, one group is the scientists, perhaps, who are interested in the frequency and the sound and the physics of the phenomenon of making sound and listening. Second group would be the psychologists and the psychotherapists, who may learn how to, with more consciousness of how they use voice in their therapy sessions with clients, how they may have an extra resource and a faculty to go deeper and to be more helpful in the psychotherapeutic process. And the third group would be people who actively use their voice in their profession, such as singers, actors, teachers, perhaps, preachers.
Vocalists.
Yes. And then the fourth group would be the mystics, those who are interested in using sound, for example, mantram, to explore new dimensions of consciousness and to go deeper and higher in their understanding of reality and their own true self and self-realization, perhaps, or awakening.
В реальности эти группы оказываются разделенными.
So in reality, all these groups are divided, they're separated.
И есть даже некоторая подозрительность относительно друг друга.
And there is even some suspicion between groups.
Например, профессиональные артисты иногда недолюбливают психологов.
For example, professional actors don't like psychologists.
А ученые очень с подозрением относятся к мистикам.
And scientists are very suspicious about mystical people.
Yes.
И таких несовпадений очень много.
And there are lots of things like that when people don't really take each other seriously.
Exactly. So one of your goals then, aside from providing the access to information about sound and voice, is unifying different groups of people who ordinarily would be polarized, and to bring about a kindness of heart, perhaps, to be open to understanding a different approach, and maybe to bring together different approaches.
Да, это требует большой открытости, чтобы встретиться с различием.
And it demands openness to be able to meet this differentiation.
И это, как мне кажется, это вызов современного мира.
And this is a challenge to the modern world, I guess.
Который определенным образом входит в параллель с тем, что мы делаем на фестивале.
And this is kind of in parallel with what we're doing in our festival.
Yes.
И один из моих проектов, которые тоже я делаю, называется «Всемирный звучащий круг».
And one of my projects is called the Universal Sounding Circle. Universal Sounding Circle.
Universal, получается, это...
Всемирный. International Universal Sounding Circle. Global Sounding Circle. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Где как раз эта идея, что мы помогаем планете.
So the idea behind is that we're helping the planet.
В процессуальном подходе есть такой термин «мировая работа».
In process concept, there is a term that is called global job.
Global work.
Global work.
Okay.
Maybe you know. И здесь не важно, кто чем занимается.
And it doesn't matter who does what here.
Основное наше движение – это движение открытости и помощи.
So the main thing is that we are open and ready to help.
И это очень помогает людям выйти на более глубокий и высокий уровень себя.
And this helps people to go deeper into themselves and understand themselves better.
Потому что на глубоком уровне я использую в работе в основном биологические звуки как психотерапевт.
Because deep inside, I use only biological sounds working as a psychotherapist.
Но на фестивале мы по-разному работаем.
But at the festival, we use different sounds, different methods.
Но идея похожая.
But the idea is very similar.
Что мы можем быть очень разными.
That we can be absolutely different.
И даже полярными.
And even opposite to each other.
Но именно наша готовность быть в резонансе.
But our readiness to be in resonance.
Что означает не только физический резонанс,
which means not only physical resonance,
но и духовный
but
резонанс.
also spiritual resonance,
ментальный резонанс,
mental resonance,
сердечный резонанс,
heart resonance,
телесный резонанс,
maybe body resonance.
Разные уровни резонанса,
all different levels of resonance,
которые дают возможность нам встречаться.
And which give us possibility to meet each other closer.
И это делает чудеса.
So this makes wonders.
Exactly. And oneness, unity, concrescence is another word that it really looks and feels, in spite of the many examples in the world of opposition and separation, that overall there's a general tendency, the whole human race, and maybe even the human kingdom with the Gaia, the other reigns or realms of nature, are going to come together as one working whole. And vibration is at the base of everything. So they say, the mystics say, that we all have a sound that we emit. And most people are not aware of it. They don't hear with their conscious hearing, but it's a sound nonetheless. Every organ in the body, the heart, the liver, the stomach, each one has a frequency. And so a sound that comes out of us is like a symphony of different instruments all playing together. And then if you take that to a bigger picture, you have all the human beings like a symphony or a chorus, perhaps, all singing together, beautiful harmonies. Right now, we're all making the sound, mostly unconscious, and sometimes the sound is very inharmonious, dysfunctional, hard to listen to, noisy. But gradually, as we develop these faculties of listening at a deeper level, mindfulness, being aware of our own voice and our own vibration, our thoughts and actions, as well as the words that we speak, gradually we fine tune ourselves just like we would tune a guitar or a piano. And then as more and more individuals and communities, family units, communities are fine tuning their ability to dialogue authentically, then more and more of that music becomes very listenable and enjoyable and creative and fun.
Да.
So we have to finish soon, but I just want to thank our listeners for tuning into this almost brand new podcast. And we will be interviewing every other week very interesting people from all different backgrounds who have developed some kind of a spiritual path, perhaps, or a path that is so meaningful for themselves that it's also inspiring for other people to hear about it and maybe learn from it. So whether our interviewees are from the business area or politics, even government, or psychology, science, psychedelic medicine, religion, spirituality of different kinds, it's not so much the background of the person, but the underlying pattern that that individual has developed on their own personal journey that is so unique and can be so inspiring. And speaking of voice, we all have a voice, and that voice deserves to be heard if we wish to share it. We all have something unique to communicate. It's a little different for every single person. We all have a different perspective of the overall reality. So when we can create venues such as a podcast or a festival where different people come together with different ideas and training, and they can be open, as you say, open to absorb new information and share, then we're really building that unity that the world is hungering for and so much needs to survive. So if you like the podcast, please click on like and also subscribe to the channel. There's a little link there at the bottom. I believe that it helps to develop a kind of esteem with YouTube and eventually the channel will receive a little bit more attention, or I'm not sure exactly what, but please subscribe and like. And just before we say goodbye, до свидания in Russian, it's so nice to hear the Russian language. It's so different than English. So to my Canadian ear, it sounds so dynamic, emotional. There's a vitality in the Russian people, I believe, generally, and the language manifests that vitality. Is there anything else you'd like to say, Olga, about anything? Just it doesn't have to be about the festival or voice, but just anything that comes to mind. Just when you get in touch with your body and your heart, what would be your message for the world at this moment in time?
Я бы хотела поприветствовать прежде всего землю Канады.
I would like to greet Canada, this wonderful land,
потому что на этой земле с 1935 года
because since 1935, this very land,
живет часть моей семьи.
part of my family lives there.
И это та часть, которая является такой глубоко творческой.
And this is the part that is very creative.
И она не так давно стала проявляться.
And not long ago, it started appearing in public.
И это очень для меня символично,
And for me, it's quite symbolic
что, Хью, ты проявляешь такой интерес к диалогу.
you show interest to our dialogue.
А для меня это как такая символическая связь,
So for me, there is a symbolic connection,
которую я чувствую в том числе через те процессы глубокие,
which I really feel also through those deep processes that's ongoing,
которые происходят, когда мой род начинает соединяться.
and I feel this when my ancestors start to get connected, all of them.
Прежде разрушившись.
So before they broke apart, and now they start connecting.
И для меня вот эта связь между континентами, между временем,
So this connection between the continents, between the times,
через творчество и звук,
through sound and creativity,
очень красивая, очень возвышенная.
it's a very beautiful process.
И я благодарю канадскую землю в твоем
So
лице.
I'm very grateful to Canadian land, in you personally.
И очень рада, что наша встреча такая короткая, но в то же время такая полнокровная состоялась.
And I'm very glad that our meeting is here. So it's very short, but still very beautiful and full, I would say.
Я благодарю.
So thank you very much.
И Елену.
Thank you for it.
Spasiba. Yes, it's true. Our two countries are huge. The two biggest countries in the world. Russia, of course, is the biggest, and Canada is number 2. And we share the same latitude. So much of the same climate and the land, the topography, the long winters. So we have so much to share with each other and so much to give. And currently, there may be in the political world, there are some difficulties, shall we say. But that doesn't matter. In the long run, the whole world is going towards unity. And I think Russia and Canada have a very special relationship. Each nation, this is my idea at least, has a personality and a soul, just like a human being. So the personality is the combination of the physical, including the etheric body, the emotional body, astral, and the mind, the concrete mind. And that's in a country that's like the physical land, the minerals, the mountains, the rivers is the physical. The emotional would be the culture, the music, and the expression of the great thinkers, the writers and dancers. And then the mental would be the scientists and the philosophers. And then we have the soul. So the personality has its own sound, its own vibration. And then the soul of the country also has a separate vibration. And when those two sounds within an individual can align and cohere, also within a country, then a tremendous power is released for good and for well-being. So perhaps Canada and Russia, we can sing a tune together with a balalaika, and learn together that way. So thanks again, spasiba, as we say in Russian. And I look forward on the 11th, I think, will be my little 90-minute masterclass on the Corazon method for authentic voice and dialogue at the Resonance. Yes, at the Resonance Festival. We'll see you then. And Elena, thank you so much for helping us today. That was really very smooth.
Thank you.
I can see that the way that you two work together, there's a beautiful flow. It looks like you've done this many times. You know each other's rhythms.
We'll feel the rhythm, yeah.
Which is a kind of a music in itself.
Yeah.
Okay, до свидания.
Thank you.
До свидания.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks to you both and all our viewers as well.